Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the regular council meeting of Tuesday, May 14th to order. Is there any updates to the agenda, Mr. Vincent?
Mr. Official Administrator, we have no updates.
Could we have the motion, please?
Apologies, we'll be adding 2 items to the agenda, item 8.2 and 8.3.
So move that the official administrator amend the May 14th, 2024 regular council meeting agenda with the following amendments. 8.2 Ministerial Order Number MSD 00223 Directives, and 8.3 Ministerial Order Number MSD 033/24. So moved. All in favor? Carried. And if we could have the next motion, please. Move that the official administrator approve the agenda as amended. All in favor? Carried. Now we can move on to the minutes. 3.1, please.
Mr. Official Administrator, if I might be so bold, was there a land reclamation or land statement?
My apologies, Mr. Vincent. We'll do that before we proceed with approval of minutes.
Thank you very much, sir.
I'd just like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territories of the Blackfoot and the people of Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta. We're also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta Region 3. Minutes of April 23rd, please. Move that the official administrator approve the April 23rd regular council minute meetings as presented. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Move that the official administrator approve the May 6th special council meeting minutes as presented. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Move that the official administrator move the February 21st, 2024 Grant Adjudication Committee meeting minutes as presented. So moved. All in favor? Carried. And with that, we'll proceed into the public hearing. I'll move that the official administrator open the public hearing for bylaw 02024, being a land use amendment bylaw at 9:01 a.m. And who will be speaking to that one, please?
Good morning, Official Administrator. My name is Jeevan Sandhu, Planner 1 with the CGI Department. So today I'll be presenting a request for decision for Bylaw 020-24, being the Land Use Bylaw Update. So a Land Use Bylaw is a legislative document enacted by a municipality to regulate the use and development of land within a jurisdiction. The purpose of this project is to update the city's current Land Use Bylaw 022-10 that was adopted in 2011. Bylaw 020-24 focuses on administrative updates to ensure clarity, consistency, and correction of identified errors, as well as the inclusion of amendments to align with higher-level statutory plans and new standards and trends. The scope of the bylaw is primarily administrative in nature, as this is a refresh and not a rewrite of the entire land use bylaw. While these amendments are minor in nature, for ease, Land Use Bylaw 022-10, as amended, will be repealed and replaced with Land Use Bylaw 020-24. We want to identify a few key aspects that this update focused on, such as consolidation of bylaw amendments passed previously, administrative updates that include spelling, grammar, oversights, clarity, and formatting, as well as additional definitions and regulations pertaining to breweries, development completion certificates, vaping lounges, and curbside pickup that already exist within the city. Modifications were also made to the CCANs in the Public Service District, as well as parking requirements so that they're all based on gross floor area, and further clarification on accessible parking stall requirements. And finally, updates to sign regulations by cleaning up definitions, providing further clarity, and the addition of regulations on missing sign types. The project team has communicated and consulted with internal departments directly impacted by the updates to the land use bylaw. In addition, targeted stakeholder engagement sessions with the development industry were held in December 2023. They were given the opportunity to provide feedback and were also encouraged to participate in today's public hearing. Furthermore, we want to identify that minor corrections and adjustments have been made to the draft land use bylaw from the version that was presented at first reading on April 9th. In the attached draft bylaw, changes presented during first reading have been highlighted in yellow, while modifications made since then are highlighted in blue. These changes included general correction of spelling errors and grammar, additional regulations for brewery and landscaping, removal of regulations for school pickup and drop-off, and clarification on various district regulations, including lot coverage and building setbacks. Per motion 240409-12, administration has conducted a comprehensive review of the rates levied within the land use bylaw. A redline version of the fees is attached as Exhibit A. Additionally, a clean version has been attached as Exhibit B. These included changes to performance deposits, secondary suites, GIS and mapping fees, and events. If approved in conjunction with the land use bylaw, the updated fees will be effective June 1st, 2024, to provide notice to residents and the development industry. First reading of bylaw 020-24 occurred on April 9th, 2024, and the public hearing was scheduled for today. After first reading, public notice was posted on the city's website in accordance with the MGA for 2 consecutive weeks, from April 29th to May 14th. 2 external emails have been received prior to May 7th and have been included in this report as Exhibit C. These comments provided suggestions from relevant stakeholders regarding school parking requirements and brewery regulations. Both suggestions have been accounted for in the latest draft of the bylaw. Any emails received after May 7th will be read in by Legislative Services after this presentation. And for reference, the implications of this project have been identified in this report, and administration sees this as a low risk. And then after today's public hearing, administration is recommending the following 2 motions: that the official administrator give second reading to bylaw 020-24, being the land use bylaw update, and that the official administrator give third reading to bylaw 020-24, being the land use bylaw update. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I have no questions. Anyone here to speak in favor of the bylaw amendments? Calling a first time? Calling a second time. Anyone here to speak in favor of the bylaw amendments? Calling a third and final time. Anyone here to speak in favor of the amendments to the bylaw? Mr. Kallen, is there any correspondence to read in support of the amendments?
No, there is not.
Calling first time for anyone speaking in opposition to the proposed amendments to the bylaw. Calling a second time. Is there anyone in opposition to the amendments to the bylaw? Calling a third and final time. Any opposition to the bylaw amendments? Kallen, is there any correspondence received in opposition?
There is not.
Could we have a motion to close the public hearing, please? I'll move that the official administrator close the public hearing for bylaw number 02024, being a land use bylaw amendment at 9:06 a.m. So moved. All in favor? Carried. With that, we can move on to public presentations. If we could have someone from the Calgary Yacht Club, please, talk about their 100th anniversary. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Mr. Official Administrator. My name is Tyson Duff. I am the Commodore of the Calgary Yacht Club. And today we have,
Oh, turn that back on. Sorry.
and we also have Ken Dixon, who is the Vice Commodore of the Calgary Yacht Club, with us today. We'd like to take a few minutes, give you a little bit of the history of the Calgary Yacht Club, and of course the purpose of the presentation is to advise council and Mr. Official Administrator of our 100th anniversary this year. So it's been 100 years that we've been sailing on Chestermere Lake. It's been 90 years that we've been incorporated as a not-for-profit society. Over those 100 years, we've had tremendous success in many aspects of sailing and creating lifelong athletes for the sport of sailing. The accomplishments are actually too numerous to mention, but a couple of the highlights most recently are we had the 2023 Sail Canada Coach of the Year, right here from Chestermere, a Chestermere resident, born and raised, who is actually in her last year of med school, so she has left the program, but Sail Canada Coach of the Year, medical school student, lifelong sailor, developed right here on Chestermere Lake. You want to take one?
In addition, we've had several individuals who have gone on to have careers well beyond Chestermere in sailing, including 2 youth who went and competed at the Worlds. in 29er, which is the brightly colored sails that you'll see occasionally out in the lake, the fast boats. And we've had an individual who's ended up on the Canadian Olympic team both in 1976 and in 1980.
In addition, we have a Chestermere resident who was the 2011 Laser Radial Female Masters Champion for World Champion. So you have a world champion here in your community that still to this day was out sailing with us this weekend. So all of those people have developed their love and their skill of sailing here on Chestermere Lake. Where does that lead us to? July 19th to 21st, we're having our the start of our 100th anniversary celebrations, which is going to be an old boat regatta or an old boat sail. So one of the requirements to enter that particular event, you're going to see a bunch of historic boats out on the lake. Your boat has to be 50 years old to participate. We are going to extend an official invite to the City of Chestermere. We would love Mayor and Council to attend the event and participate in the opening ceremonies of the Heritage event on July 19th. The afternoons are going to be filled with the sailing, with the show and shine, and historical presentations about the yacht club and our involvement with the city. One of the other interesting notes about the Calgary Yacht Club, it is actually the longest continuous resident of the lakefront of Chestermere. We have not moved in many, many years, and we have been a constant on that lake for 90 plus years. Our sailing school that we run every summer provides access to sailing for youth and develops a youth sailing program for 500 plus children a year. So over the course of the last 25 years, we've ran tens of thousands of children through that program, some of which have developed into lifelong sailors. One of our first coaches here is now the full-time coach and a world-renowned coach out at the Royal Victoria Yacht Club, produced right here out of Chestermere as well. You're going to hit 6.
In terms of the yacht club, we're a not-for-profit society that's member operated and maintained with the assistance of paid staff members. CYC currently employs 10 instructors and coaches throughout the summer. Some of them are full-time. In addition, we have 2 staff who are on the administrative side, and one is a full-time or a full-year staff member who manages the clubhouse and the grounds.
Of interesting note, those 10 instructors that we employ to run summer camps are all youth, and they are well-paying jobs right here in Chestermere that employ our local youth all summer to help us facilitate those camps. We also open our doors. We're not just a sailing club. We also open our doors to many other not-for-profits. We host the Older Adults Coalition. We host the Interagency Group, the Lakefront Homeowners. We host cadets, Navy League cadets, Sea Cadets, Scouts, Girl Guides, and most recently, the Luna Youth Play Program is now hosted out of Camp Chestermere, out of the Calgary Yacht Club. In the past, we've also had Taekwondo in there. So we extend our facilities and we maintain those facilities for the benefit of the not-for-profit community in Chestermere.
In terms of the accessibility and affordability of the club, we've done some great moves towards accessibility in terms of adding handicap accessibility throughout the buildings and throughout the grounds. We are working towards improving that for instance, a lift for particular types of boats that are ADA type boats and allow kids to get out on the water. In addition, in terms of affordability, our memberships are actually reasonable. Our junior membership is only $150. Crew is $175. Social, for people who just want to come and hang out at the club, is $362. A single membership is $428. So there is the ability for everybody within the community to come out and participate. And even if they are not a member, there's many events where we have it as an open house.
And finally, what does the next 100 years look like for Chestermere, for the Calgary Yacht Club here in Chestermere? We've got a number of plans in place. We're going to work on some streetscaping stuff, increase the beautification of the property. As Ken referenced, we are looking at some shoreline upgrades, fixing the ramp, and doing some seawall improvements to allow better access for disabled sailing and just all around access to the facilities. We're also looking at how we can improve our storage and use of land at that facility just to make it more efficient. We also look forward to many more years of sailing, many more years of developing youth, and moving forward a great relationship with the city of Chestermere to ensure that we're supporting the residents and the sailors of the community. If you have any questions, Mr. Official Administrator, we'd be happy to take them.
No questions. It's quite a history you have. Congratulations, and we'll make sure that the new mayor and council is aware of your celebrations on July 19th. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time today.
I'll move that the official administrator accept the Calgary Yacht Club 100 anniversary update as information. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Staff Sergeant Clausen, please. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Official Administrator. How are you today?
Good.
Good to hear. So I will be reporting on the RCMP Municipal Policing Report. This is our fourth quarter, this report is, and it ended on March 31st. We're a different jig to our quarters than you guys are. So this report basically goes over some of the interactions that we had with the city of Chestermere. Some of the noted ones here are some meetings that we had with elected officials. The CAO had an introduction to our new district officer during this quarter, as well as some of our priority reports. If we want to, do I slide down? In priority number 1, for the RCMP, we had identified property theft in community developments. So we basically, with the increase of residential and commercial builds, we've continued to do building patrols in the construction zones, keeping interactions with the workers there and security guards. I don't know if you have any questions pertaining to exactly to that. We have our capture program here, which continues to grow, although on a slow process. We want to be able to ensure that more of the public engages in that program, which is community-assisted policing through the use of recorded evidence. So for all of our residents who has surveillance cameras or businesses that have surveillance cameras to engage in to that program, which gives us the allows us to know where cameras are so we can not access them. We don't have access to them, but be able to go places for evidence. Priority number 2, traffic and safety. Our injury collisions are on a decline due to members' presence on the streets. We have our enhanced road safety program, which we have the Alberta sheriffs were coming in. That has now ended, and we're relying basically on RCMP and CPOs to assist with that. So hopefully that will stay at the level that it's at and be on a decline. Enhanced public engagements, relations, and education. We continue to develop relationships with the community. We attended several events throughout the quarter. One of them being the Diwali event that they had, and the next part of the report is our human resources, if you want to scroll down there. So currently, the Chestermere RCMP has 21 established positions, but we also have 2 that have backfilled, so 23, so 2 that are surplus to establishment. They were there to offset 2 employees that were on long-term leave for 5 years. So they backfilled those. We have a couple that were on medical leave. So we're sitting at 7 working officers out of our allotted 19. So that's all that you guys are billed for. And the next page goes into the financial overview of the detachment. I don't know if you have any questions there. I know we were under what we expected because our extra duty pay, our overtime costs were they're substantially down from what we expected, basically due to the extra manpower that were provided to us by City Council in 2022.
So the only question I have, Staff Sergeant Clausen, is the surveillance cameras that you were talking about.
Oh, so the capture program?
Yes.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
So our capture program is just a program where we try to get the community residents and business owners to participate in. So what they do is they just go online into the capture program through the city website. They log in there whether they have surveillance cameras on their property and where they are located. And in the event that we have an activity that happens around that area, we can contact the either homeowner or business owner to see if they will allow us to use their video footage.
So, Mr. Vincent, are we promoting that on our website?
I don't know, Mr. Official Minister, Staff
I think
Sergeant.
it might have been through the Police Communication Committee that it
Correct,
might have
yeah.
been that we were going to promote that on our on the city's website. So whether or not that has popped up, but it is on the city's website for linking. So if you want to go on there and sign up, you can go through the city's website.
Maybe we could promote
Unless
that.
it was removed when there was a change to the website, so I'm not quite sure. I doubt it.
I'll ensure we follow up and that it has a prominent display on the city website. Thank
Just to
you.
try and bring more awareness to you.
No, for sure. And I think one of the issues that some people might have is that they feel that the RCMP has access to their cameras. We do not. It only allows us to locate where they are in the event something happens. Like, I'm going to use an example. Heaven forbid we have another child go missing or something like that. And we are able to track the neighborhoods or the business area that the crime occurred. Then we are able to get on top of it a lot quicker and be able to get evidence to support any charges through the courts if they were to transpire.
Okay, thank you. I just think it's good if we could do it, promote that to help you out. Okay, I have nothing further. Thank you.
Anything further? Okay, that's it.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Motion, please. Move that the official administrate the RCMP crime stats dated May 2024 as information. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Moving on to the capital and operating budget. Mr. Vincent, please. 6.1.
Mr. Official Administrator, those residents who are here in public gallery and those residents who have joined today's regular meeting of council virtually. We find ourselves in an unusual and unprecedented situation. Normally, the city's operating capital budget would be passed by an elected body, mayor and council. Because of time constraints, specifically printing and mailing of tax notices, and the penalty deadline of June 30th of 2024, it is necessary for the official administrator to give consideration and decide on these matters. I will add that it is with the full consent and support of the Minister of Municipal Affairs and his department, with whom the official administrator has consulted rigorously. I would firstly draw everyone's attention to the recently released Deloitte Inc. City of Chestermere Municipal Inspection Report. And for reference, you would go to Section 1, Financial Policies and Controls, subsection 1.3, Financial Controls, sub 1.3.2, Lack of formal process for budget creation, implementation, and monitoring. You would find this on page 38 and 39 of that report, which is posted to the city's website. The highlights from this section are: the city is required to have an annual operating and capital budget approved by council according to section 242 and 245 of the Municipal Government Act. The budgets are to go through multiple levels of review within city administration prior to council review and a motion to adopt. Per common practice, the budgets are meant to contain a sufficient level of detail to support the budget users in making informed decisions about expenses. Additionally, the city's migration in budgeting software for the capital budget resulted in a lack of budget controls inherently found in the budgeting software applied to the capital budget. Deloitte identified findings with the budget preparation and review process, including the lack of a uniform approach and documented evidence of appropriate reviews. The budgets for each account also lack consistency and a process to prevent exceeding the budgeted amounts. Folks, this was in the past. Recommendations in this section include develop a standardized budget review and approval procedural document. We have such a document in place, and we only need to follow it. Centralize a budget management process to enforce a uniform standard of the budget's level of detail. I assure you, this current administration has done exactly that. Introduce regular budget review meetings with the city's leadership, and I refer to that as our executive leadership team, to ensure departmental alignment on the budget and increase the monitoring of the budgets. We have accomplished all of that as well. I would like to now introduce to you the team that I am truly very proud of, who were involved in the preparation of this budget and worked very hard for countless hours to make all of this possible. I will ask them to stand and be recognized and to remain standing until everyone has been introduced. Sandy Johal Watt, Director, Corporate Services. Liz Armitage, Director, Community Growth and Infrastructure. Kent Edney, Director, Community Operations. Mike Fluker, Special Projects Coordinator. Unfortunately, Mike is not with us this morning as he's attending to other crucial and critical city business at this time. Nicole Myrie, Senior Manager, Human Resources. Kallen Morrison, Manager, Legislative Services. Kathy Russell, Project Manager. Charity Potter, Executive Assistant. Corporate Services, Ann Ty, Senior Finance Manager, and the heart and soul of this process. Stephen Burness, Manager, Community Engagement. Ty Tamasta, Manager, Communications. Namish Patel, Manager, Economic Development. Ruby Brar, Manager, Community Support Services. From Community Growth and Infrastructure, I'm going to screw this up again. Kate Doherty, Manager, Infrastructure and Planning. And my mom would be ashamed of me not being able to pronounce a good Irish name like that. Sami El Hinawi, Manager, Asset Services. Shaman Vesenio, Manager, Development Services. And finally, Community Operations. Dario, Environmental Services Manager. James Blair, Parks Manager. Kylie Hoskins, Office Manager. And you always save the best for last, right, gentlemen? Brent Paquette, Platoon Chief. Joel Fournier, Platoon Chief. Ladies and gentlemen, that's our team. Please be seated. Thank you. The official administrator has discussed the approach taken by the City of Chestermere in preparation of the annual operational and capital budgets. There are several methods to preparing municipal budgets that the official administrator and I are aware of in our combined over 100 years of municipal experience. Hard to say that. These include line item budgeting, object-based budgeting, performance-based budgeting, zero-based budgeting, just to name a few examples. the City of Chestermere has chosen to use the object-based budgeting approach, which has been used for a number of years. There are advantages and disadvantages to each budgeting approach. With object-based budgeting, the criticism is that it does not provide the level of detail some might expect, as would a line-based budgeting approach. One of the reasons the City of Chestermere has chosen to use an object-based budgeting approach is because that is the reporting requirement, object-based reporting, when submitting the annual financial statements to Alberta Municipal Affairs as required by the Municipal Government Act. This will, however, be a topic for the official administrator and myself to discuss with the newly elected incoming council during their council orientation as to their preference and approach to future city budgets, and their decision and direction will guide the administration there onward. The interim budget that was passed in December 2023, developed by this administration, is the foundation for the final budget we are proud to present here today. It is built on the needs and services provided and expected by the residents of the City of Chestermere, with the utmost respect for the covenant of sacred trust that we, as the administration, are entrusted with to prudently and diligently use the taxpayers' hard-earned tax dollars. In my humble opinion, yet biased opinion, this budget can be termed a good news budget. There is no one, and I will repeat, absolutely no one from a previous council or administration that can claim any credit in any manner whatsoever for this budget. It is now with great pleasure for me to turn the spotlight on the Director of Corporate Services, Sandy Johal-Watt, to present the City of Chestermere 2024 Operating Capital and Utility Budget. Sandy, the stage is all yours.
Thank you very much, Pat. Good morning, Mr. Official Administrator. My name is Sandy Johal-Watt. I'm the Director of Corporate Services. I just wanted to take a moment to thank the members of the management team that are here behind me today for all their efforts in ensuring a very transparent and strong budget. I just wanted to acknowledge Ann Ty, Senior Manager Finance, for all of her work in helping develop this budget. So let's begin. 2024 final capital budget and 2025 through 2028 capital plan. Council recommendations. Motion that all capital purchases for all departments, with the exception of the fire department, in excess of $50,000 be held in abeyance until such time as the newly elected council has had the opportunity to review the 5-year capital plan and approve all capital purchases. Motion that the capital budget for the Community Safety Department Fire Services Division be frozen until such time as the newly elected council has had the opportunity to review and approve the 5-year capital plan. Motion that all capital purchases for the Fire Services Division be approved by the newly elected council. And lastly, motion that the official administrator approves the final 2024 capital budget and 2025 through 2028 capital plan as amended. Recommended options. Previous reports, 2024 interim capital budget. Recommended options. These are the exact same as the first page under council recommendations. Capital budget 2024 final. This report is to provide the changes to the interim capital budget as approved on February 13th, 2024. Staff is seeking a motion from the official administrator to approve the final 2024 capital budget and the 2025 through 2028 capital plan as amended. This slide shows the agenda for today's presentation. Capital budget overview. Each year, the City of Chestermere prepares an annual capital budget and the 4-year capital plan. The city is committed to maintaining our ability to deliver sustainable and reliable services that are cost-effective for its residents. Maintaining the condition of assets is core to the city's long-term sustainability. The capital budget is funded through grants, restricted surplus accounts, off-site levies, developer front-end, and utility rates. Capital projects are not funded through taxes or debentures. Financial position, City of Chestermere. Balance at the end of 2023. MSI, Municipal Sustainable Initiative, grant, $16.5 million. Canada Community Building Fund, CCBF, $7.8 million. Roads offsite levy, $7.9 million. Recreation offsite levies, $11.1 million. Fire hall offsite levies, $700,000. Total restricted surplus RSA for capital, $9.5 million. Total of funds available for capital projects, $53.5 million. Debt limit or borrowing capacity, $57 million. This first slide, 2024 final capital budget versus interim budget, will show you a final 2024 total capital projects amount of $44.1 million. This is a graph indicating the final 2024 version versus the 2024 interim budget. Summary of the final 2024 capital budget and 2025 through 2028 capital budget by department. Please note in yellow 2024 total capital projects balance to the previous slide of $44.1 million. This is again a visual representation of the final capital budget by department. Corporate Services 2024 capital for a total of $1.065 million in 2024. Community Safety 2024 capital for a 2024 total of $4.107 million. And please note the items in yellow are additional items from the interim 2024 approved capital budget. Fire Services 2024 capital forecast. Next slide, please, Kallen. Thank you. Community Operations Fleet 2024 capital for a 2024 total of $280,000. Community Operations Roads 2024 capital total of $666,400. Community Operations Storm, 2024 total of $975,000. Community Operations Facilities, 2024 capital for a total of $484,514 for 2024. Community Operations Environmental Services, 2024 balance of $408,000. Community Operations Park and Rec, 2024 capital of $1.718 million. Community Growth and Infrastructure, 2024 capital for a total of $95,000. Community Growth and Infrastructure Offsite Levies, 2024 capital of $6.409 million. Summary, final 2024 capital budget and 2025 through 2028 capital plan by categories. Please note 2024 total in yellow balances total capital projects of $44.101 million. Forecasted, Kallen. 2025 forecasted capital projects of $28.4 million. 2026 total capital projects of $27 million. 2027 total capital projects of $26.798 million. And lastly, 2028 total capital projects of $80.9 million for a total of $214 million. in total capital projects for the City of Chestermere. Capital asset definitions. Engineered structures. Permanent structures such as highways, bridges, sewer systems, stormwater systems, parks, water supply, and treatment systems and canals. Buildings. Permanent, temporary, or portable building structures such as offices, garages, warehouses, and recreation facilities intended to shelter persons and/or goods, machinery, equipment, and working space. Land improvements. All improvements of a permanent nature such as parking lots, landscaping, lighting, pathways, and fences. Machinery and equipment. Heavy equipment for constructing infrastructure, smaller equipment in buildings and offices, furnishings, computer hardware and software. And lastly, vehicles. Rolling stock used primarily for transportation purposes. This is just, again, a visual representation. Please note that 78%, which is the largest portion of the donut, is for engineering structures. Summary, final 2024 capital budget and 2025 through 2028 capital plan by funding source. So this slide documents the various funding sources such as MSI, CCBF, RSA, and offsite levies for a total of $44.1 million in total capital funding. This is a visual representation indicating that the 43% of the capital projects are funded by MSI and LGFF. Summary of changes. These are the yellow items, Mr. Official Administrator, that were in the previous slides. Corporate services, move CCTV surveillance camera to 2025 for a total of $423,000. Community safety, addition of live scan for RCMP, $25,000, approved in 2023 and not added to the 2023 project carryover to 2024. Addition of the final payment to purchase the rescue order, $300,000, deposit $300,000 in 2024 and $800,000 final payment in 2025. Addition of $200,000 to the final payment of the purchase of engine 117 for the new fire hall. $293,511 deposit in 2024 with final payment of $1.25 million in 2026. Addition of $500,000 to the final payment to purchase aerial 117, deposit $500,000 in 2024 with the final payment $2.5 million in 2028. Summary of changes, community operations. CRCA parking lot improvement engineering study and design, $154,000, council motion 240409-16. Change the PK 150 sod cutter from $7,500 to $10,000, reflecting actual cost. Change PK 180 Ford crew cab from $99,000 to $107,000, reflecting actual cost. Add recreation Dawson's Landing, total $48 million in 2027 through 2028, funded by offsite levies, loan paid by offsite levies. Community growth and infrastructure. Remove $825,000 Marina West Chestermere Drive intersection improvement in 2024. Add $75,000 Highway 1 Rainbow Road needs assessment and staging plan project. Community growth and infrastructure, offsite levies funded projects. Addition of number 9, Chestermere Boulevard, 2-lane rural to 4-lane rural, Range Road 284 to Range Road to Rainbow Road. Potential for 2-lane urban included in scope, $5 million in 2026. Number 12, Chestermere Boulevard, 2-lane urban to 4-lane urban bridge over Chestermere Lake. Developer offsite levies portion, $17.7 million in 2027 to 2028. Community growth and infrastructure offsite levies developer front end. Addition of number 32 Rainbow Road 2-lane urban to 4-lane urban Chestermere Boulevard to Windermere Drive, $4.7 million in 2025 through 2026. Number 24 Range Road 284 2-lane rural to 2-lane urban Chestermere Boulevard to Alta Link right-of-way, Phase 1, $4.5 million in 2026. Summary of changes, utility capital, utility rate funded projects. Addition of Merganser Drive West, PRV, air relief replacement project, $200,000 in 2025. Water loss leak detection system, $250,000 in 2025 through 2027. Climate change mitigation program, stormwater, $400,000 in 2027. Storm pond capital maintenance, $280,000 through 2025 through 2028. Lift station 4 repurpose and decommission, $20,000 in 2028. Force main ARV assessment and replacement, $60,000 in 2025 through 2027. And lastly, Lift Station 10 RRST mitigation program, $350,000 in 2024 through 2027. Utility capital offsite levies funded projects. Addition of offsite levy item 7, distribution trunk and Rainbow Road West, phase 3, $1.17 million in 2025. Offsite levy item 7, distribution trunk and Rainbow Road West, phase 4, $2.1 million in 2028. Offsite levy item 7, phase 1, centralized stormwater reservoir, $5.85 million in 2025 through 2026. Offsite levies item 12, west centralized stormwater reservoir land cost, $4 million in 2024. And lastly, offsite levies item 8, phase 1, outlet force main and pump station, $29 million in 2025 through 2028. Utility capital offsite levies funded projects continued. Offsite levies item 10, Northwest Storm Trunk Phase A, $1.156 million in 2026. Offsite levies item 19, Northwest Storm Trunk Phase B, Phase 2, $1.5 million in 2024. Offsite levies item 12, Northwest Storm Trunk Phase C, $1.38 million in 2024 through 25. Offsite levies item 14, Northwest Storm Trunk Phase E, splitter MH and pipe to South Shore, $685,460 in 2025. Utility capital offsite levies developer front end. Addition of offsite levies item 6, distribution trunk and Chestermere Boulevard North, $13.9 million in 2024. Offsite levies item 9, distribution trunk and Range Road 281 East, phase 1, $533,000 in 2024. Item 21, Rainbow Falls under drain endeavor buyout, $3.3 million in 2024. Offsite levies, item 10, Rainbow Road Gravity Sanitary Trunk, Phase 4, $830,000 in 2024. And finally, conclusion. The majority of the final 2024 capital budget changes are due to utility offsite levies projects added to ensure that the city can accommodate growth. Staff is seeking a motion from the official administrator to approve the final 2024 capital budget and the 2025 through 2028 capital plan as amended. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions, Mr. Official Administrator.
Thank you, Sandy. I have no questions. Just my compliments to all the staff that worked on this. Great job in the capital budget. It's good information. It's very informative and a big improvement over the last 2 years. Do you want to deal with the resolutions for that now at this time, or do you want to go through your operating budget first?
Mr. Official Administrator, if we can deal with the resolutions on the capital budget, I think it'd be much cleaner. I thank you for your consideration.
Move that the official administrator approve the final 2024 operating budget as amended. So moved. All in favor? Carried.
Excuse me, Mr. Official Administrator. I just wanted to point out that we haven't gone through the operating budget at this time. So it's just the capital budget. I think the motion just had both operating and capital budgets in there.
So we'll move that the official administrator approve the 5-year fire services forecast as presented. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Move that the official administrator approve the final 2024 capital budget and the 2025-2028 capital plan as amended. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Move that the official administrator approve funding in the amount of $383,750 for proposed 2 additional regular full-time Sorry, that's operating budget. We'll come to that after.
Thank you.
There should be a couple motions about capital purchases. We can deal with those after at the time we deal with the operating if you want. Just while we're waiting for that, I want to make it clear that in my role as official administrator, it's rather unique where you have an unelected official making capital decisions for a community. And I'm very conscious of my fiduciary responsibility to the residents of this city and the city as a corporation. So I will not be approving any capital purchases that have a long-term financial impact on the city. That will be left for the newly elected mayor and council. The funding is going to be secured within the budget that will allow them to move forward as soon as they want to with those projects. We're just approving the plan at this time. So,
Mr. Morrison, if I might respectfully suggest, if you bring up the front page of the request for decision, I think the 3 resolutions, there we go.
So I'll move that all capital purchases for all departments, with the exception of the fire department, in excess of $50,000, be held in abeyance until such time as the newly elected council has had the opportunity to review the 5-year capital plan and approve all capital purchases. So moved. All in favor? Carried. I'll move that the capital budget for the Community Services Department Fire Service Division be frozen until such time as the newly elected council has had the opportunity to review and approve the 5-year capital plan. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Move that all capital purchases for the Fire Service Department be approved by the newly elected council. So moved. All in favor? Carried. And I believe we've already dealt with the last one where we approved the
That is correct.
capital plan and the capital budget.
Mr. Official Administrator, there was a previous resolution whereby you had approved the 5-year fire department plan. May want to go back and rescind that particular motion based on this particular motion that has deferred that decision to a future council. So if I could ask Mr. Morrison to pull up.
I'll move that the motion number to be determined be rescinded, that approved the official administrator approving the 5-year service forecast as presented. That's rescinding it. So moved. All in favor? Carried.
Thank you very much,
for your
sir.
patience, Sandy. Now we can move on to the operating budget. And once again, I just want to assure everybody, funds are there and will be there for the new council to move forward with these. It's such time as we'll have an elected body making that decision rather than an unelected person. Please proceed.
Hello again, Mr. Official Administrator. My name is Sandy Johal-Watt, Director of Corporate Services. I am here to present the 2024 final operating budget and 2024 utility budget. Council recommendations: motion that the official administrator approve the final 2024 operating budget as amended, and motion that the official administrator approves the final 2024 utility budget as presented. Implications: an interim operating budget for a part of the calendar year ceases to have any effect when the operating budget for that calendar year is adopted. Previous reports: 2024 interim operating budget and interim utility budget. Recommended options: that the official administrator approve the final 2024 operating budget as amended, and that the official administrator approves the final 2024 utility budget as presented. Operating Budget 2024 Final. Purpose of this report is to provide the changes to the interim operating budget approved on December 12, 2023. Administration is seeking a motion from the official administrator to approve the final 2024 operating budget as amended. The next slide just shows the agenda for this presentation. Population projection, I just wanted to draw your attention to the 2024 Chestermere projection of population for 28,209 residents. Assessment and tax. In 2024, the City of Chestermere assessment value increased by 18%. The increase is the combination of 8% growth due to new development and 10% to inflation in market value. This change in assessment values leads to the potential of an increase in property taxes for some residents. In order to minimize the impact to residents, the City of Chestermere has lowered the tax rate by 10% to offset the inflationary change in market value. Residents will experience an increase in education taxes. The City of Chestermere does not control the education tax portion. The city collects the education tax and remits these funds to the province as per the Provincial Board of Education requisition. Please note the 2024 final capital budget revenues total $62.6 million, with a balanced budget showing expenses of $62.6 million. This is a graph showing the comparison between 2024 preliminary budget and 2024 final budget. 2024 preliminary budget versus final budget expenses. 2024 final operating budget revenue by object. Please note a balanced budget of $62.609 million for the 2024 final budget versus 2024 preliminary versus final budget, an increase of $5.9 million. This graph shows the difference between the 2024 preliminary budget versus the 2024 final budget. 2024 final operating budget expense by object. This detailed slide indicates the different line items, the different objects, for a total 2024 final budget of $62.6 million. And again, this is a graph indicating the difference between the 2024 preliminary budget versus the 2024 final budget. $2024 budget versus 2023 actual variance revenue by object. Please note the total $62.609 million in the 2024 final budget line versus 2024 actual versus final, for an increase of $5.9 million. This graph shows the difference between the 2023 actual and 2024 final budget revenue by object. $2024 budget versus 2023 actual variance expense by object. So this detailed slide shows the differences between 2023 actual versus 2024 final for an increase of $5.037 million in each of the respective line items, the objects. This again is a visual representation of the 2023 actual versus the 2024 final budget. 2024 budget highlights. 10% reduction of the 2024 tax rate versus 2023. Increase of $1.7 million in permit fees due to growth in new developments. 2024 budget includes 2 new RCMP officers and 4 new firefighters. Increase in staffing expense in order to maintain a high level of service for residents and stakeholders such as developers and contractors. Special projects including new municipal development plan, MDP, recreational needs assessment, and recreational strategies. Monetary support to Chestermere Recreation Centre, Chestermere Library, and community grants. Fulfillment of union collective agreements for both staff and firefighters. Promotion of economic development plan to assist in bringing additional investors to the City of Chestermere. Personnel budget. Changes from 2024 preliminary to final budget. Please note the 2024 salaries and wages with respective benefits total $22,635,000 versus preliminary budget, an increase of 2.1 million. This again is a graph, a visual representation of the 2024 preliminary budget and 2024 final budget. Personnel changes from preliminary to final budget. Number of new positions, 2 positions for a total of 196,250. Personal contracts, various, 187,500. Changes due to union, fire services, 454,180, and CUPE, 358,860. Changes in WCB, Workers' Compensation Board, 2,897. Changes in EI, CPP rates, reduction due to the use of estimated rates for preliminary budget. Changes in LAPP amount, 188,591. Benefits of increase in personnel, increased levels of service for residents, correlation with growth, and lastly, staff work-life balance. 2024 personnel highlights. Total number of full-time equivalents, FTEs, 171. Total number of part-time equivalents, PTEs, 4. Total number of seasonals, 51. Total number of directors, 3. Total number of managers, 14. And total number of CAOs, 1. Population versus staffing metrics, 1 employee per 100 residents. Current estimated population, 24,900. Projected staffing levels of 249. Current levels, 175 to 24,900. And the organizational chart, Mr. Official Administrator, is just attached at the end of the presentation. Budget amendments. Administration has identified additional cost savings to the 2024 operating budget as follows. Remove annexation study, 80,000. Summer carnival, 49,759. 2 regular full-time and personnel contract positions, 383,750. And defer the following. General contracts, PMO office, 119,000. Engineering support, 250,000. Reallocation of $882,509 to the unrestricted surplus reserve account. Conclusion. Administration is proud to present a balanced budget reflecting rapid growth with sensitivity to pressures due to inflation and rising costs. We are pleased to present a reduction in the tax rate while ensuring exemplary services remain a priority for the City of Chestermere. Administration is seeking a motion from the official administrator to approve the final 2024 operating budget as amended. Questions?
I have no questions, Sandy, thank you. Mr. Vincent, to you and your management team, congratulations for a well-prepared budget. Excellent information there for the public. Could we have the motions, please?
Mr. Official Administrator, while we're waiting for Mr. Morrison to pull up the resolutions on the screen, just like to make the comment that I hope the residents of the City of Chestermere understand and realize the magnitude of the operation of municipal government in the city. With a $44 million capital budget and a $62 million operational budget, we are now in excess of $100 million in terms of total operation. This is a significant operation and a significant corporation to operate, and I would fully expect the newly elected and incoming council will understand the perspective of the responsibility they will have. It's been a real pleasure working with our staff in preparing this information, and I look forward to presenting with you the budget overview at the council orientation. Thank you, sir.
Well, in addition to that, Mr. Vincent, at the same time, while you're dealing with the operations of the city, we've also been dealing with financial inspection and the afterfall of the municipal inspection by Mr. Cuff. So it has not been an easy road for everyone to follow, and I really compliment you and your team for the work they've done. I'll move that the official administrator approve funding in the amount of $383,750 for the proposed 2 additional regular full-time and various contract positions be removed from the 2024 operating budget and that the budget be adjusted accordingly. So moved. All in favor? Carried. I'll move that the official administrator move the 2024 operating budget as amended to remove funding in the amount of $129,759 from contract services detailed below and defer $369,000 detailed below, and that the 2024 operating budget be adjusted accordingly. It's removing $80,000 for an annexation study. It's moving $49,759 for a summer carnival, moving $119,000 for a general contract, and deferring $250,000 for engineering. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Move that the official administrator approve the 2024 operating budget as amended by reallocating $882,509 to unrestricted surplus reserves. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Move that the official administrator approve the final 2024 operating budget as amended. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Move that the official administrator approve sorry, we got to wait. We haven't had the presentation on that one, Kallen. Go ahead, Sandy.
Thank you, Mr. Official Administrator. Kallen, these 3 slides for the utility budget were just on the back end of the operating budget. Hello again, Mr. Official Administrator. Me again, Sandy Johal-Watt, Director of Corporate Services. Utility Budget 2024 Final. Utility Company 1538974, Alberta Limited Budget. No changes from the preliminary budget. Thank you, Kallen. Utility Company 1538974, Alberta Limited Budget Overview. Budget based on current rate. Rate review will be completed in late 2024. Estimated revenues based on 2024 growth projection study. Major expenses include water and sewer service from the City of Calgary. Expenses calculated based on the 12% increase in bulk water and disposal of wastewater rate. EPCOR services contract rate increase of 10%. Service contract with the City of Calgary remains unchanged. City of Chestermere. Utility dissolution project to be completed by the end of 2024. Utility Company 1538974, Alberta Limited Budget. No changes from the preliminary budget. Please note revenue versus expenses before other rate-based expenses for 2024 plan of $2.4459 million. Net revenue versus operating expense, negative $306,387. Utility Company 1538894, Alberta Limited Budget. Projection if utility company merged into city operations. Total revenue 2024 plan of $20.222 million. Total expense $14.25 million. Surplus and deficit after funded capital projects $682,974. And this concludes my utility budget presentation.
Thank you, Sandy. I have no questions. It's good to see the comment in there that the dissolution will take place by the end of 2024. Could we have the resolutions, please? Move that the official administrator approve the final 2024 utility budget as presented. So moved. All in favor? Carried.
Mr. Official Administrator, may I respectfully suggest we take a 5-minute recess?
We can recess for 5 minutes, Mr. Vincent. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone. Welcome back. We have one more motion to deal with for the budget before we move on to the other items. And we'll move that the official administrator approve the 2024 operating budget be amended by reallocating $882,509 for the unrestricted surplus reserve to general stabilization fund. Just for clarification, that's just clarifying the names of the fund where the money is going to. So moved, all in favor, carried. Thank you, Sandy, for everything.
My pleasure, thank you.
Moving on, 7.1.
Excuse me, Mr. Administrator, if
Yep.
we might deal to another two administrational matters. Earlier in this morning's meeting, two resolutions were passed to give second and third reading to bylaw 020-24. As staff had reported at the public hearing that the bylaws had been amended, the motion should have read, the official administrator give the second reading to bylaw 020-24, being the land use bylaw update as amended. So if we can add the words as amended, so we would need a motion to rescind each of those first two motions and then two new motions as amended, please.
Mr. Vincent, we haven't given second and third reading.
We haven't yet?
When we come to it, we'll do them as amended.
Very good, sir. Jumped the gun again.
Okay. Okay, 7.1, please. New mandate for Chestermere Peace Officers. Who's presenting on that one?
I'll present that one, Mr. Administrator, Official
go ahead,
Administrator. All right, thank you. I'm here to present the Community Peace Officer Policy Update Report. Looking for a motion that the Official Administrator approve Policy 203, the Community Peace Officer Policy. As part of administration's review of all of our policies, we've gone through and updated the Community Peace Officer Policy to better reflect the city of Chestermere versus the town of Chestermere and some of the unique responsibilities that CPOs have as the community grows. It's really been just an administrative exercise to streamline and clarify the contents in the policy, and again, remove those references to the town and replace them with the city of Chestermere. A couple sections have been removed from the policy regarding a complaints process for the peace officers. We're going to incorporate that into a standard operating procedure, which will follow for the peace officers. And then again, we've added Appendix A to the policy, which is attached to this report, just outlining the levels of service that the CPOs provide and where they're allocating their time based on the needs of the community. So if there's no questions from yourself, be looking for a motion that the official administrator approve Policy 203, the Community Peace Officer Policy.
Thank you, Kent. I have no questions. Motion, please. Move that the official administrator move policy number 203, Community Peace Officer Policy. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Mr. Vincent, please. 7.2.
Mr. Official Administrator, I have before you the bylaw 026-23 CAO and designated officer bylaw. We're submitting a recommendation that the official administrator accept the CEO replacement selection report as information. Administration is in the process of retaining the services of Leaders International to find suitable candidates for the position of permanent Chief Administrative Officer. Leaders International is an internationally recognized recruitment firm that is headquartered in Canada. The search will take 10 to 12 weeks to complete and will cost the city a maximum of $45,000. This money has been budgeted in the 2024 budget. This maximum cost does not exceed the limit of the Chief Administrative Officer's signing authority and therefore does not need council's approval as per Schedule A to the bylaw. The Leaders International have provided the city with additional protection as they will conduct a new search for the position if the chosen candidate leaves within a 12-month period. After Leaders International has been selected, potential candidates for the position, of Chief Administrative Officer. The Human Resources Manager will assist myself in beginning the review process, and we'll have a long list and short list for the newly elected incoming council to review and to consider. Therefore, I would ask the official administrator to consider accepting the CEO replacement selection report as information.
Move that the official administrator accept the CAO replacement selection report as information. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Moving on, 7.3, Dawson's Landing Outline Plan. Kent, you presenting, or is Liz on that one?
Sure, is that you?
Terrence is presenting.
Good morning.
So I'm presenting this item for the amendment to the Dawson's Landing Outline Plan, being proposed amendments to the city land use bylaw and the Dawson's Landing Outline Plan. Please note that I believe the applicant is in attendance. I mentioned to the applicant that they are welcome to be here, so I haven't actually mentioned to them, but I believe they might be in here. Yes, Ellie. If I may, administration is recommending the following two motions. Motion 1, motion that the official administrator give first reading to bylaw 012-24, being amendments to the land use bylaw 022-10 as amended as shown on Schedule A of bylaw 012-24. The second motion, Mr. Official Administrator, motion that the official administrator approve the scheduling of a public hearing for bylaw 012-24 for May 28, 2024. The proposed land use amendment is twofold, affecting two distinct sites in Dawson's Landing. Site 1 is a plus or minus 0.22 hectare private green space in a recently developed direct control residential cottage housing district, DCR-2C. The applicant proposes redesignating this parcel to Public Services District, PS, allowing the space to be used as non-credited municipal reserve and to supplement the existing and future park spaces in Dawson's Landing. Site 2 is a plus or minus 8.06 hectare and currently designated residential single detached district, R1, and direct control residential cottage housing district, DCR-2C. The applicant seeks to amend the parcels currently zoned R1 to both the residential planned lots, front drive and rear lane. The DCR-C2 parcel is proposed to be redesignated to residential multi-unit district R3. The redesignation of the R1 lots to both the R1 planned front and rear lane districts is anticipated to increase the number of dwelling units in Site 2 from 38 from 106 single-family dwelling units to 144 planned lot dwellings. This specific amendment also addresses a discrepancy in the approved zoning of Dawson's Landing, as it will amend several blocks that the outline plan shows with rear lanes to a corresponding land use intended to accommodate lots with rear lane access, i.e. R-1 PRL. On February 13th, 2024, bylaw number 003-24 was passed, where section 3.4.4 of the MDP was amended to increase the cap on planned lot development from 35% to 50%. If approved, the percent of planned lots compared against the total number of single dwellings is 35%, below the 50% lot cap. This planned lot calculation is based on the number of planned lot dwellings divided by the total number of single dwellings in an outline plan area. Administration does acknowledge that the MDP does not define single-family housing, and therefore the applicant's interpretation of this calculation is valid. Furthermore, it is anticipated that the upcoming MDP rewrite will provide clarification in this regard. In the absence of clarity in the wording, administration supports the application's interpretation of this planned lot cap calculation. The redesignation of the plus or minus 0.84 hectare direct control -R2C district lands in Site 2 to R3 is anticipated to consist of multifamily development. The maximum density within a R3 district is 44 units per hectare. A redline version of the Dawson's Landing Outline Plan has been included as Attachment A, which demonstrates revisions to the planning document that are required to ensure alignment with the proposed land use amendment. The proposed amendments to the outline plan will be brought to council under separate cover in conjunction with second and third reading of bylaw number 017-24, the Chestermere Outline Plan appealing bylaw. Assuming said bylaw is approved and the Dawson's Landing Plan is repealed, the red line outline plan you have before yourself, Mr. Administrator, will be brought back to council for approval by resolution. Therefore, today's bylaw 012-24 is for the land use bylaw amendments highlighted today. The red line outline plan amendments are described in this report as information to support the land use bylaw amendment. This file was circulated until May 9th, 2024, which fell after the submission of the request for decision report for first reading of this bylaw on May 7th. Since May 7th, administration received one additional comment requesting confirmation that the proposed amendments will not impact the approved outline plan servicing and infrastructure to include stormwater management, storm ponds, sanitary, and water servicing. The implications of this land use amendment and outline plan revisions are as follows. Social impacts. The proposed non-credit municipal reserve in Site 1 represents a moderate increase in the amount of public open space in the community and may improve connectivity in this regard. The proposed addition of planned lots in Site 2 will provide additional choices for the home buying public. Environmental impacts. The increase in residential density of lots adjacent to the eco park may increase utilization of the park for passive recreation and education, a positive for the citizens of Chestermere. There are no apparent financial, servicing, or economic or regional implications. Overall, administration does not see a significant risk associated with approving these amendments. Mr. Official Administrator, if I may, please allow me to repeat administration's recommendations before I conclude my presentation. Motion 1. Motion that the official administrator give first reading to bylaw number 012-24, being amendments to the land use bylaw 022-10 as amended and as shown on Schedule A of bylaw 012-24. Second amendment, motion that the official administrator approve the scheduling of a public hearing for bylaw 012-24 for May 28, 2024. That concludes my presentation.
Terrence, may I just, you had said bylaw 012, is it 014-24?
Should be 012. You know what? Yes, 014.
Thank you
Yes.
for that clarification. Thank you.
No, thank you for the question.
Can I get that clarification also from Kallen? Because I think it's 012-24.
That's the original motions on the first page of the request for decision, cite bylaw 012. That's what you said, but in the request for decision, the final recommendations refer to 014-24.
Sorry, Mr. TAO, on the last page
Yeah.
of
So-
this request for decision.
Yeah, so that's incorrect. That needs to be corrected, and the motions that are being suggested on the first page of the request for decision, page 367 of the agenda package, is correct. Thank you very much.
Okay. I have no questions. I'll move that the official administrator give first reading to bylaw number 012-24, be in amendments to the land use bylaw number 022-10 as amended, and as shown on Schedule A of bylaw number 012-24. So moved. All in favor? Carried. If we could have the second motion, please. Move that the official administrator approve the scheduling of a public hearing for bylaw number 012-24 for May 28th, 2024. Thank you.
Mr. Official Administrator, if I may be permitted, I would like to confirm the direction that I have received from yourself and give notice to our administration, to the development community, and to all those present in council chambers today. May 28th will be the last date at which any public hearings are held under the official administrator. There will be no further public hearings until after the newly elected incoming council is in place. So that is notice.
Thank you, Mr. Vincent. Kent, could we please have the report on the sale of the motorcycles?
Thank you, Mr. Official Administrator. I'd like you to accept this report on the sale of the Community Peace Officer motorcycles for information and looking for a motion that reflects that. This is an item that was identified in the Deloitte financial inspection, and this originally started as a request from the CPOs for e-bikes to properly monitor the pathway system, parks, and beaches in a more effective manner. Through direction of the previous mayor, this evolved into the purchase of motorcycles. And on May 30th, 2023, the council at the time made a motion directing administration to proceed with the procurement of motorcycles, including protective gear, equipment, and training for the community peace officers through the remainder of 2023. Approximately to the decimal place, $72,668.90 was spent to purchase, customize, and equip the motorcycles for CPO use. As identified in the Deloitte report, this was an unnecessary expenditure and not a practical solution for our CPOs. Administration reviewed this program in January of 2024. And after the evaluation determined that it was not in the best interests of the city to continue with this program. Therefore, the motorcycles were put up to auction and were subsequently sold for $34,000 for the two of them, resulting in a net loss to the city of $38,668.90. So again, just looking for a motion that the official administrator accepts the sale of CPO motorcycles report as information.
Thank you, Kent. Can we have the motion, please? Move that the official administrator accept the sale of CPO motorcycles report as information. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Now moving on to the bylaws.
I believe item number 8.2 and 8.3, which are added to the agenda, Mr. Official Administrator.
That's right. Mr. Vincent, I think you're on for 8.2.
Thank you very much. I asked Mr. Morrison to enlarge the screen a little bit. I've got poor eyesight and I don't have a hard copy in front of me, so thank you very much for your indulgence. Have a recommendation that the official administrator accept a letter from the Honorable Rick McIver, Minister of Municipal Affairs, with attached Ministerial Order number MSD 033/24 and the reasons for decision dated May 10th of 2024 as information. So the Honorable Minister directed correspondence to the official administrator on May 10th, which was attached Ministerial Order number MSD 003/24, which enumerated two directives. as well, the minister delivered a memorandum outlining his reasons for issuing the directives which accompanied the correspondence and the ministerial order. So under the direction of the official administrator, the CEO has action directive number 2, and that was to publish a copy of the Deloitte City of Chestermere Municipal Inspection Report on the city's website, which occurred at 3 p.m. last Friday, and will remain there until all directives have been met to the minister's satisfaction. I must add as a footnote that report was replaced by revisions on Monday morning, yesterday morning, due to an error that didn't follow the FOIP legislation. So anybody that's downloaded the report from the city website last Friday will have Appendix C, which identified each of the city employees who had been interviewed in that process. That attachment has now been removed with the apologies from Deloitte and from the Department of Municipal Affairs. So with that, as directed, the administration report and the recommendations will be discussed in an open session of council and approved by council resolution following the restoration of council quorum on the city's plan to address each recommendation in the inspection report. And the newly elected incoming council will be charged with that responsibility, which is directive number 1, and they have been provided with a time frame, which I believe is September 15th of 2024, in which to respond. With that, if we might go back to the recommendation, please. So we would ask you to consider, Mr. Official Administrator, accepting the letter from the Honorable Rick McIver, Minister of Municipal Affairs, with the attached Ministerial Order number MSD 033/24, and the reasons for decision dated May 10th, 2024, as information.
I'll move that the official administrator accept the letter from the Honorable Rick McIver, Minister of Municipal Affairs, with attached Ministerial Order number MSD 033/24, and the reasons for decision dated May 10th, 2024, as information. So moved. All in favor? Carried. 8.3, Mr. Vincent.
Thank you. Just a wee thank you so much. The City of Chestermere of recent has been responding diligently to the Honorable Rick McIver, Minister of Municipal Affairs, submitting bi-monthly progress reports under Directive number 12 of the directives issued under Ministerial Order number MSD 002/23. When progress report number 6 was submitted on March 12th of 2024, administration requested confirmation from the minister of the directives he deemed had been met to his satisfaction. In correspondence dated May 10th, 2024, to the official administrator, the minister has now provided that confirmation, which I'm very pleased and happy to share. The minister has noted the following directives require further action in order to be completed. Directive 1, 3A, 3B, 5A, 5F, 6A, 7, and 11. The following directives are now deemed to have been completed to the minister's satisfaction. 4A, 4B, 5B, 5C, 5D, 5E, 6B, 8B, 10A, and 10B. Almost feels like I'm calling a bingo game here, which gives the administration a great deal of satisfaction and pride in having been able to successfully complete this work. The minister has issued a new ministerial order, number MSD 044/24, directing the Council of the City of Chestermere, following the restoration of council quorum, to provide the minister a plan for completion of these directives no later than September 30th of 2024. The administration is actively working towards the completion of a report on the remaining and outstanding directives for presentation at the May 28th, 2024 regular meeting of council. If we might go back to the resolution. With that background, we ask the official administrator to consider accepting the correspondence from the Honorable Rick McIver, Minister of Municipal Affairs, dated May 10th, 2024, with Ministerial Order number MSD 044/24 attached as information. And secondly, that the official administrator direct administration prepare a report and a response to the minister's correspondence and the ministerial order for the May 28th, 2024 regular meeting of council. Thank you, sir.
So move that the official administrator accept the correspondence from the Honorable Rick McIver, Minister of Municipal Affairs, dated May 10th, 2024, with Ministerial Order number MSD 044/24 as attached as information. So moved. All in favor? Carried. And I'll move that the official administrator direct administration to prepare a report and response to minister's correspondence and the ministerial order for the May 28th, 2024 regular meeting of council agenda. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Now, Kallen, if we can move on, we'll try and get these bylaws wrapped up. We have a special meeting at 11 o'clock.
Good morning, official administrator. I'm coming back with bylaw 011-24, being the regional emergency management bylaw. I will note that there is a noticeable lack of artistic flair in this report as opposed to last time. So, administration is seeking a recommendation, seeking the motion that the official administrator give second reading to bylaw 011-24, being the regional emergency management bylaw as amended, and then the second motion is that the official administrator give third and final reading to bylaw 011-24, being the regional emergency management bylaw. The most notable change through this is that section 5.1 of bylaw 011-24 is amended to read as council agrees that through the WREMP to establish the agency to act as the agent of council to carry out its statutory powers and obligations under the act. This does not include the power to declare, renew, or terminate a state of local emergency, not the powers contained in Section 7 of this bylaw. The amendments is essentially just removed any redundancy that the previous passage had. So with that, we're seeking two motions. The first is that the official administrator gives second reading to bylaw 011-24, being the regional emergency management bylaw as amended. And the second is to give third and final reading to bylaw 011-24, being the regional emergency management bylaw.
Thank you, Kallen. The only question I have, are we the first municipality to pass the amended bylaw?
No, I believe Strathmore and others have as well.
Okay. If we could have the motion, please. Move that the official administrator give second reading to bylaw 01124, be in the regional emergency management bylaw as amended. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Next motion, please. Move that the official administrator give third and final reading to bylaw number 01124, be in the regional emergency management bylaw. So moved. All in favor? Carried. 9.2 we've already dealt with. So you're off the hook there, Terrence.
And Mr. Administrator, I'll make sure that typo doesn't happen.
Thank you. And land use amendment bylaw?
Hello, official administrator. This is the same information that happened during the public hearing for bylaw 020-24. So we're just recommending second and third reading.
Okay. Now this motion that the official administrator gives second reading to bylaw number 020-24, be in the land use bylaw update as amended. So moved. All in favor? Carried. If we could have the next one, please. Move that the official administrator give third and final reading to bylaw number 020-24, be in the land use bylaw update. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Water amendment bylaw. Ryan. Good morning.
I'm here today to motion that council give first reading to bylaw 018-24, being an amendment to section 35, the cross connection section of Schedule A, terms and conditions of water services as part of the City of Chestermere's water bylaw 025-13. And ask council approve the scheduling of second and third reading for bylaw 01824 for May 28th, 2024. Some background on it. A cross connection is an actual or potential connection between a potable water, drinking water system, and a non-potable or contaminated water source. Cross connection may occur due to back siphonage or back pressure, such as water main breaks, high withdrawal of water from hydrants, or a non-potable supply operating under a higher pressure by means of a pump or a boiler connected to the water supply. A cross-connection control program protects every customer served by the distribution system. A cross-connection program will proactively protect the city's water supply and water mains from contaminants that could result in serious public health issues or death and significant costs to the municipality to resolve such instances of cross-connection. The current cross-connection section, Section 35 of Schedule A, terms and conditions of water services forming part of the City of Chestermere's water bylaw, lacks sufficient legislation to properly implement a cross-connection program in the City of Chestermere. The changes proposed will establish adequate legislation to provide necessary authority to carry out a cross-connection program's various functions. Functions such as defining annual testing, licensing testing personnel, the authority to enter premises, and install devices in the case of non-compliance. Installation locations, installation standards, customer costs, etc., etc. The attached Exhibit A shows a red line version of Schedule A, terms and conditions of water services included in and form part of the water bylaw. The implications, the adoption of bylaw 018-24 will allow the city to set up a cross-connection control program. The administration has reviewed this application and the risk levels are negligible. Related policies, the water bylaw 025-13. Yeah. Any questions?
No questions.
Okay.
We can have the first motion, please.
Motion the council give first reading to bylaw 018-24, being an amendment to section 35, the cross-connection section of Schedule A, terms and conditions of water services as part of the City of Chestermere's water bylaw 025-13. And second motion that the council approve the scheduling of a second and third reading for bylaw 018-24 for May 28th.
First motion, please. Move that the official administrator give first reading to bylaw number 01824, be an amendment to section 35, cross connections of Schedule A, term and conditions of water services bylaw as part to the City of Chestermere water bylaw number 02513. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Mr. Vincent, I don't know that we need the second motion. You can automatically schedule that for the next meeting.
I can, sir.
With that, we can move on to the tax rate bylaw. Sandy, once again, please.
Hello again, Mr. Official Administrator. I'm back. Sandy Johal-Watt, City Director of Corporate Services, to present to you the 2024 tax rate bylaw. Bylaw number 021-24. Council recommendations. Motion that the official administrator give first reading to bylaw 021-24, being the 2024 tax rate bylaw. Motion that the official administrator give second reading to bylaw 021-24, being the 2024 tax rate bylaw. Motion that the official administrator give consideration for third reading of the bylaw 021-24, being the 2024 tax rate bylaw. Motion that the official administrator give third and final reading to bylaw 021-24, being the 2024 tax rate bylaw. Subject, as per section 353(1) of the Municipal Government Act, each council must pass a tax rate bylaw annually. This is a legislative requirement for the city to implement the tax rates for property taxes. With the third and final reading of bylaw 021-24 and the approval of the 2024 tax rate, property tax notices can be sent out to residents. And that the city can authorize the rates of taxation to be levied against accessible properties within the city for the 2024 taxation year. Implications: when bylaw 021-24, being the 2024 tax rate bylaw, receives all three readings, the following tax rates will be implemented per the chart below for the 2024 tax year. Related policies, bylaws, and legislation: Municipal Government Act, bylaw 013-23, 2023 tax rate bylaw. Previous reports: 230530-17. Motion that council give third and final reading to bylaw 013-23, being the tax mill rate bylaw 2023. Recommended options: that the official administrator give all required readings to bylaw 021-24, being the 2024 tax rate bylaw. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. I have no questions. Question to Mr. Vincent. Do we need to proceed with all three readings today?
Mr. Official Administrator, that would be our preference because that would provide the administration with clear authority to start printing the tax notices, which takes some time, and having them stuffed in envelopes and prepared for mail distribution. If the official administrator wishes to defer third and final reading to May 8th, that is certainly an option, but we would ask you to consider giving all three readings to the bylaw today, please, sir.
Okay. It just concerns me with the giving approval for the third reading. It's pretty obvious unanimous with one person voting. I'll move first motion if we could, please. Move that the official administrator give first reading to bylaw number 02124 being the 2024 tax rate bylaw. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Move that the official administrator give second reading to bylaw number 02124 being the 2024 tax rate bylaw. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Move that the official administrator give consideration for third reading of bylaw number 02124 being the 2024 tax rate mill bylaw. This must be unanimous. So moved. All in favor? Carried.
Mr. Official Administrator, before you go to third and final reading, just one comment. We want to draw to your attention, to the public's attention, that properties that were annexed into the city of Chestermere, some believe 10 years ago, will see a difference in their mill rate because under the annexation agreement, they were favored by having the lower mill rate between Rocky View County and Chestermere. Now that that time period has elapsed, our administration has been diligent in communicating with those residents, but for the general knowledge and benefit, and in the sake of openness and transparency, those changes do occur in 2024, and there is some impact on those particular properties. Just for your information, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Vincent. And if we could move to final reading, please. Move that the official administrator give third and final reading to bylaw number 02124 being the 2024 tax rate bylaw. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Once again, congratulations, Pat and Sandy and your team for doing an excellent job of the budget this year. That, if we could have a motion to adjourn the meeting. Move that the official administrator adjourn the meeting at 10:55 a.m. So moved. All in favor? Carried. And we will be having a special council meeting starting in 5 minutes.